Sometimes we make life far more complicated than it truly is. We tell ourselves that to change our reality, we must master countless rituals, recite endless affirmations, or force ourselves into hours of rigid practice. Yet the truth is much simpler, so simple that most people overlook it. Reality does not demand that you pound endlessly on a locked door. Reality only asks that you notice the door was never locked at all. What you and I call life is not a rigid wall holding us back. It is a living, breathing field of energy, responsive, fluid, and always listening. It listens not to our frantic words or desperate actions, but to the quiet vibration we carry within us. And the great secret is this: manifestation is never about how much you do, but about who you are in this very moment. I want you to picture this with me. Imagine a river. You could fight against its current, thrashing and exhausting yourself in the attempt to control it. Or you could soften, allow your body to float, and feel the river carry you forward without strain. That is the nature of the quantum field. It does not respond to your struggle. It responds to your alignment. Most of us were raised to believe that effort is the price of admission to anything worthwhile. Work harder, push longer, prove yourself. But in the language of the universe, effort is not the signal. Vibration is. When your heart is contracted with fear, when your nervous system is tense with survival, you can repeat 1,000 affirmations, and still the field hears only the truth beneath the words. It reflects not your declarations, but your essence. Think of the last time life surprised you with grace. Perhaps you stumbled into an opportunity without trying, or someone appeared in your path at exactly the right moment. Notice how it happened when you weren't gripping so tightly, when you weren't measuring or demanding. It came when you were present, open, and at ease. That is how manifestation really works, not as a result of strain, but as the natural flowering of coherence within you. The quantum world is not somewhere far away. It is here, surrounding you, and within you, waiting for the signal of your being. You and what you desire already exist in the same fabric of energy. There is no distance except the one created by the mind's belief in separation. You don't have to climb a mountain to meet your dream. You only have to tune your frequency, like turning the dial of an old radio, until the music comes through clear. And this is the shift. Manifestation is not about chasing after what you want. It is about becoming the version of yourself who is already living it. The field does not ask for more words or louder prayers. It asks for the quiet courage to embody the state you long for before it arrives. To walk as though you are already free. To breathe as though you are already whole. To smile as though love has already found you. When you see life in this way, the pressure softens. You no longer need to break down the door. You realize there is no door at all, only an open threshold, waiting for you to step across, with awareness, with trust, and with a heart that finally lets go of the struggle. That is where true creation begins. One, you and what you desire are already connected. So many of us grow up believing that what we long for lives somewhere far away beyond reach, across a wide distance, hidden behind years of effort and sacrifice. We imagine that love waits on the other side of loneliness, that abundance hides behind decades of hard labor, that peace rests in some distant retreat we have yet to discover. But in truth, that distance is an illusion. In the quantum field, separation is not real. You and the life you long for already exist in the same web of energy. Imagine a great net stretching across existence, each strand glowing with possibility. On one thread rests the reality you inhabit right now. On another, just a breath away, rests the reality where you already hold what your heart has been yearning for. The strands are not broken. They are not scattered. They are all part of one tapestry, already woven together. Think of it like this. A radio does not create music when you turn the dial. The music is already playing in the air around you. You cannot see it. You cannot touch it, but it exists, waiting for you to tune in. Your desires work the same way. They are not waiting in the future, withheld, until you work hard enough. They are present, right now, in the field that surrounds you. The only task is to align, to attune, to notice that the signal has been there all along. I know how easy it is to doubt this. I have lived those seasons where the things I prayed for felt oceans away, where love seemed like a stranger, where peace was something only other people spoke about, where joy felt like a memory I could barely recall. In those moments, I believed I was on one side of a canyon, and what I wanted lived on the other. But over time, I came to see the canyon was never real. It was built of fear, of conditioning, of the belief that life must always be difficult. When you stop trying to bridge the gap, you realize there is no gap. The truth is gentler than you imagine. The love you are searching for has been whispering in your chest every time your heart expands with kindness. The abundance you crave has been breathing with you every time you share your gifts freely. The peace you long for has been hiding in the pause between your inhales and your exhales. Nothing has been withheld. It has only been unseen. It's like two hands reaching for each other in the dark. For years, they may believe they are alone, but in reality, they are only inches apart. All it takes is the smallest shift of awareness for fingers to touch, for warmth to be felt, for connection to be known. That is how close your desire already is. That is how near the life you seek has always been. This is not about convincing yourself with clever words. It's not about repeating affirmations until your throat runs dry. It's about softening enough to notice what has been quietly present. Awareness is the bridge, and awareness requires no effort, only willingness. A willingness to release the belief that you are lacking, to let go of the story that what you need lives outside of you. And perhaps the most beautiful part is this: when you finally see that you are already connected to your desire, the chase ends. You no longer run after life as though it were fleeing from you. Instead, you begin to walk with it, beside it, knowing it has been here all along, like rivers that no longer fight to flow uphill. You return to the natural movement of things, effortless, graceful, inevitable. So, take a moment now. Breathe gently. Feel your body resting in the chair or the bed where you sit. Notice that the same energy animating your breath is the same energy animating the reality you long for. You are not separate. You never were. The life you dream of is not a faraway land. It is the very soil beneath your feet, waiting for you to recognize it. This is where the journey truly begins, not by building bridges to what you want, but by waking up to the truth that the bridge was never needed. The thread has always been there, invisible but unbroken, tying you gently to the future that is already yours. 2. The addiction to effort and the illusion of control. We have been told from the time we were children that the harder we work, the more we deserve. Our culture praises the one who grinds, who sacrifices sleep, who pushes through pain. We are taught to believe that struggle is the proof of worthiness, that exhaustion is the price of admission to a better life. And so we clench our fists tighter, grit our teeth harder, and strain against the current of life, believing that if we just keep fighting, eventually the universe will reward us. But here is the paradox in the language of the quantum field. Effort is not the signal. Strain is not the currency. The universe does not respond to your clenched jaw or your restless striving. It responds to your harmony, your coherence, your ability to move with the flow of life rather than against it. Think of water for a moment. Try to hold it in a closed fist, and it slips through your fingers. Yet when you open your hand, it rests gently in your palm. Reality is much the same. When you clutch and demand, you create resistance. But when you soften and allow, reality has space to meet you, to fill you, to nourish you. I know this because I too once lived inside the prison of effort. I measured my days by how much I accomplished, how much I produced, how much sweat I poured into proving my worth, and while I achieved things, I was rarely at peace. My body ached, my spirit felt small, and the world seemed always just out of reach. It wasn't until life humbled me, until exhaustion broke me open, that I began to see the truth. The universe does not need my strain. It needs my alignment. Effort is not evil. Of course, we take action. We build. We create. But the question is, what is the quality of the energy behind your action? Is it rooted in fear that you are not enough? So you must do more. To be more. Prove more. Or is it rooted in trust that you are already connected, already supported, already whole? So your actions become expressions of joy rather than weapons of survival. When effort turns into addiction, we lose sight of this. We keep trying to control outcomes, checking constantly whether life has delivered yet, like planting seeds and digging them up each morning to see if they've grown. That impatience, that tightness, is not neutral. It sends a signal. It tells the field, I do not trust. I must force. And so life mirrors back the very struggle we project. But when we loosen our grip, something shifts. Imagine holding the steering wheel so tightly that your knuckles turn white. You are technically in control, but you are also rigid, reactive, and exhausted. Now imagine easing your grip just a little, feeling the car move more smoothly, trusting the road beneath you. That is what it feels like to surrender control, not to give up responsibility, but to release the illusion that you must carry the universe on your shoulders. Control is seductive because it gives the ego a sense of safety. It whispers, if you can just plan enough, if you can just work harder, nothing will fall apart. But the deeper truth is that life is far too vast to be micromanaged. The quantum field is not mechanical. It is alive, intelligent, responsive. It asks not for domination, but for collaboration. Think about the moments in your life when things unfolded beautifully. Were you grinding, pushing, calculating every detail? Or were you present, open, and perhaps even surprised by how naturally things came together? That flow was not an accident. It was the universe showing you the rhythm that is always available when you step out of the cage of control. So here is the invitation. Notice where in your life you are still addicted to effort. Notice the places where you equate tension with progress. And then, gently, soften. Release the need to prove yourself through struggle. Take action. Yes, but take it from a state of trust, from a body that is at ease, from a heart that believes it is already connected to the outcome it seeks. Because in the end, reality is not keeping score of how hard you tried. It is responding to the song you are humming beneath all your actions. And when that song is harmonious, when it carries the vibration of peace rather than panic, the world does not resist you. It joins you. It moves with you. It becomes your dance partner instead of your opponent. And maybe that is the quiet miracle. The moment you stop gripping so tightly, life finally has room to place its gifts in your open hands. 3. Becoming instead of chasing. There comes a moment in every seeker's life when we realize that wanting alone does not bring what we long for. We can hope, we can plead, we can run endlessly after the dream, and yet it seems to drift further away the harder we chase it. The reason is simple. Though not always easy to accept, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you become. Think of an old radio, the kind with a dial you have to turn slowly. If you want to hear classical music, you cannot stay on the frequency of hard rock and expect the orchestra to appear. The music is already in the air around you. But until you tune yourself to the right frequency, you will only hear static or songs that do not belong to your heart. Life works exactly the same way. When you live in the frequency of worry, no amount of wishing for peace will bring peace into your experience. You may cry out for calm, but the signal you are sending is one of fear, of scarcity, of agitation. The field does not judge you. It does not punish you. It simply mirrors the vibration you are already embodying. And so, without realizing it, you keep tuning to the wrong station, hoping for a different song. I remember a season of my life when I longed for freedom. I said it out loud, wrote it in journals, dreamed about it at night. But inside, I carried the vibration of captivity. My body was tense, my breath shallow, my mind rehearsing every reason freedom would never come. And so the universe, faithful as ever, echoed back that state of bondage in the circumstances of my life. It wasn't until I began to soften into the feeling of freedom, before any evidence appeared, that things began to shift. When I allowed myself to breathe deeply, to walk slowly, to imagine what it felt like to already be free, the outer world quietly rearranged itself to match. This is the invitation: stop chasing. Stop believing that life will change only after the thing arrives. Instead, begin to embody the state of already having it. If you desire love, do not live in the vibration of loneliness. Begin to treat yourself with the devotion and tenderness you long to receive. Speak to yourself the way you wish a partner would speak. Open your heart in small ways, here and now. So the frequency of love is not something you are waiting for. It is something you are radiating. If you desire abundance, do not cling to every coin as though the universe were barren. Begin to practice generosity in small ways. Give your attention fully. Offer your time freely. Share a smile, a kindness, a piece of wisdom. Each act tells your nervous system, I have more than enough. And slowly you begin to embody abundance itself. And if it is peace you crave, do not wait until every problem is solved before you rest. Peace is not the absence of storms. It is the ability to sit quietly in the middle of them, breathing deeply, knowing that the waves will pass. Start with your breath. Start with your own body. Let peace be a vibration you cultivate within. And soon enough, the outer circumstances will bend to match that state. Becoming is not about pretending. It is not about fooling yourself with words while your body trembles in doubt. It is about gently training your entire being, thoughts, emotions, breath, actions to align with the version of you that already lives the life you seek. It is a practice of embodiment, not performance. Chasing always creates distance, because to chase is to affirm that what you want is not here yet. Becoming closes the gap, because to become is to declare it already lives in me. This is not a mental trick. It is physics. Like frequencies attract. Resonance is real. When you tune yourself to the vibration of the life you want, that life cannot help but resonate with you in return. So the question is not, how do I get what I want? The question is, who must I become in order to be aligned with it? And the answer is often simpler than we think. You do not need to climb mountains or travel far. You need only to begin living as though it were already so. Walk as if the ground beneath your feet already belongs to your dream. Speak as if your words carry the authority of someone who is whole. Breathe as if you are already safe. In time, you will notice something extraordinary. The world around you will begin to shift, not because you chased it down, but because you finally tuned yourself to the right station. And when the music begins to play, the music you've been longing to hear, you will realize it was here all along, waiting patiently for you to adjust the dial. 4. Sarah's story. There was a woman I once knew. Let's call her Sarah. For 3 years, she prayed for love. She did everything she thought she was supposed to do. She wrote affirmations on sticky notes and placed them on her mirror. She filled notebooks with intentions. She attended workshops, read books, even created vision boards filled with pictures of happy couples walking hand in hand. Every morning she would whisper the same words into the silence. Please, let love find me. But the years went by, and nothing changed. Every relationship she began ended quickly or never took root at all. and the more she longed for love, the more elusive it seemed. To Sarah, it felt like the universe was ignoring her prayers. She told herself, maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe it just isn't meant for me. Yet what was really happening had nothing to do with whether she was deserving. It had everything to do with the vibration she was carrying beneath her words, deep in her subconscious. Sarah carried a wound she had never addressed. When she was a little girl, her father had walked out on the family. She was only 7 years old, too young to understand why someone she loved could leave so suddenly. But children do not rationalize. They absorb. And what Sarah absorbed was a silent belief that men always leave, that love cannot last, that she is not safe to be fully open. She grew into a woman, but that 7-year-old child still lived inside of her, bracing for abandonment, waiting for the day she would be left again. And so, even as she prayed for love with her conscious mind, her nervous system was quietly sending out another signal: stay away. I cannot bear to be hurt again. The quantum field, always faithful, always precise, reflected the deeper frequency. For a long time, Sarah didn't see it. She thought her problem was that she wasn't trying hard enough. So she tried more affirmations, more effort, more control. And yet, the harder she tried, the lonelier she felt. Until one day, during a moment of stillness, she realized that no amount of chasing could heal the wound inside her. Love would not arrive until she turned inward and offered it to the one person she had overlooked herself. So she began the slow, tender work of healing her inner child. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks. It was simply sitting with the pain she had carried for decades, allowing herself to feel the sadness she had buried, and speaking to that 7-year-old self the words she had longed to hear: you are worthy of love. You are safe now. I will not leave you. As she did this, something shifted. The frequency of fear began to soften. The vibration of abandonment gave way to the vibration of belonging. For the first time, Sarah wasn't trying to attract love from the outside. She was becoming love on the inside. And when she stopped chasing, when she finally let go of the need to prove her worthiness, the field responded in its natural way. One morning, months later, Sarah was standing in line at a coffee shop. She wasn't thinking about finding someone. She wasn't scanning the room with anxious eyes. She was simply present, enjoying the warmth of her drink, breathing at ease in her own skin. And it was in that ordinary moment, when she was no longer searching, that she met the man who would later become her husband. A simple conversation about coffee beans turned into hours of laughter, and what had felt impossible for years unfolded effortlessly. Her story is not a fairy tale. It is not about waiting for destiny or luck. It is about frequency. Sarah didn't manifest love because she learned a new technique. She manifested love because she became love. She stopped sending out the vibration of fear and began embodying the vibration of wholeness. The universe didn't reward her. It simply reflected her new state back to her. I share Sarah's story because many of us carry the same hidden wounds. We think we are waiting for life to bring us something, but in truth, life is waiting for us to shift, to release the old stories of unworthiness, to tend to the child within who still believes they are unsafe, to embody, right here and now, the energy of what we most desire: love, abundance, peace. These things are not running from you. They are not being withheld. They are waiting at the edge of your awareness, already connected to you, already entangled with your being. And when you heal, when you soften, when you embody the state of already being loved, already being whole, then life has no choice but to mirror that truth back. Sarah's prayer was answered, not when she begged harder, but when she remembered the love she sought outside had been living inside her all along. 5. Emotions, the language of the quantum. For much of my life, I thought being spiritual meant being positive all the time. I believed that anger, sadness, and fear were weaknesses, things I needed to erase if I wanted to manifest anything beautiful. And perhaps you've been taught the same: smile no matter what. Stay upbeat. Never let the heavy feelings show. But over time, I learned a truth that set me free. Emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. They are the very language through which the quantum field reads you. Every emotion carries a frequency. Think of it like music. Joy sings at one pitch. Sorrow hums at another. Fear beats like a low drum in the background. Each frequency is information, and the field does not judge it as good or bad. It simply listens, faithfully mirroring back what you are broadcasting. The problem is never the emotion itself. It is what happens when we resist, suppress, attenuate. Resistance twists the signal. Acceptance clarifies it. Take anger, for instance. Most of us are taught to fear it or bury it, but anger is simply a boundary alarm. It tells you that something precious has been crossed, that your values are asking to be honored. Sadness, too, is not a flaw. It is the heart's way of showing you what matters, what you love enough to grieve. Fear shines a light on the places that still feel unsafe, asking you to bring compassion there. Even joy, so often overlooked, points you toward the paths that are most aligned with your true nature. When we judge these emotions, we create conflict inside. We tell ourselves, I shouldn't feel this way. I must push it down. I must pretend to be positive. But the field does not listen to your mask. It listens to your essence. And if your heart is trembling in fear, while your lips repeat the words, I am safe, the signal becomes distorted. The universe hears the trembling, not the words. I know this intimately. There were years when I tried to bypass my pain. I thought if I could cover it with enough affirmations, it would disappear. But all that effort only deepened the wound. The harder I fought against my sadness, the louder it grew. It was only when I stopped fighting, when I finally sat down and said, I see you. I feel you. Thank you for showing me where I still hurt, that something shifted. The energy loosened, my body softened, and in that moment of acceptance, I was no longer at war with myself. This is the essence of coherence: to allow all parts of you to exist, yet to choose wisely which frequencies you nurture. You do not have to act on every emotion. You do not have to let anger drive your choices or fear dictate your path. But you do need to listen, to honor them as information, as weather moving through the sky of your being. Imagine your emotions as guests arriving at your door. You don't need to let them live in your house forever, but you can invite them in long enough to hear what they have to say. When you do, they often soften and leave more quickly than when you slam the door in their face. And here is the miracle: when you accept your emotions as part of the language of life, the signal you send to the field becomes clear. There is no static. You are no longer saying one thing with your lips and another with your heart. You become congruent, and coherence, more than positivity, more than perfection, is what the universe responds to. So if today you feel joy, let it sing through you. If you feel grief, let it speak of what you have loved deeply. If fear arises, let it remind you of the tender places within that still long for your protection. In this way, every emotion becomes a doorway to greater wholeness, not an obstacle in your way. I want you to hear this. You do not need to be positive all the time to manifest the life you want. You only need to be real, to feel what is true in this moment, and to return again and again to alignment. Because in the end, the quantum field does not require you to be flawless. It only asks for your honesty, your presence, your willingness to speak its language, the language of your own heart. 6. Morning and evening practice. There is a quiet power in the way we begin and end our days. These two thresholds, when we first wake and when we prepare for sleep, are like gateways to the deeper parts of our mind. What you choose to place there does not just shape your mood, it shapes your frequency. It colors the way you meet life, and it teaches your subconscious what kind of world you expect to live in. When you wake in the morning, before the rush of obligations, before the phone lights up with news and messages, there is a sacred pause. In that fragile moment, you have not yet been pulled into yesterday's worries or tomorrow's demands. You are simply present, and it is here, in this quiet space, that you can set your tone. Ask yourself gently, what frequency am I tuning into today? Fear or trust? Scarcity or abundance? Anxiety or peace? It may seem like a small question, but the answer ripples through every choice that follows. If you wake and immediately begin worrying, your body will carry that vibration into your conversations, your work, your decisions. But if you choose even for a moment to breathe into trust, to feel gratitude for the breath in your lungs and the sunlight creeping through your window, you shift your entire trajectory. Think of it like steering a ship. A tiny adjustment in direction at the very start will, over time, change the destination completely. Morning practice is that small adjustment. It is not about perfection. It is about awareness, about remembering that you have a choice before the world's noise decides for you. And just as the morning opens a doorway, the evening offers another. Before you close your eyes, before you hand your mind over to dreams, you have one more chance to guide your frequency. This is the time to reflect, not with judgment, but with gratitude. Ask yourself, where did I align today? Where did I wobble? Where did I glimpse my own strength? Even the smallest victories matter. Gratitude is not about pretending everything was perfect. It is about acknowledging the good that was already present. However subtle, there is also a practice I find profoundly healing: rewriting the day. Maybe you spoke in fear when you wished you had spoken in love. Maybe you felt small when you wanted to stand tall. In the evening, as you lie in bed, you can close your eyes and imagine those moments unfolding differently. See yourself responding with the wisdom of the version of you who already lives the life you long for. Let that vision play out in detail: how you stand, what you say, how you feel in your body. Why does this matter? Because the subconscious does not easily distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and memories. To your deeper mind, what you rehearse becomes just as real as what you lived. By revisiting and rewriting your day, you are literally reprogramming your inner system, teaching it new patterns, updating its expectations. In time, your nervous system begins to anticipate these new responses in real life, and you naturally align with the version of you who is freer, calmer, more whole. I cannot overstate how powerful this is. Most of us allow our subconscious to be programmed by default by old wounds, by cultural noise, by childhood imprints. But morning and evening practice give you the chance to reclaim that programming, to remind yourself, again and again, of who you truly are and who you are becoming. You do not need hours of meditation or elaborate rituals. You only need consistency, tenderness, and a willingness to meet yourself at the two most natural thresholds of the day. In the morning, you plant the seed. In the evening, you water it. And over time, a new reality grows, not because you forced it, but because you cared for it daily, with patience and trust. So tomorrow morning, before you rise, pause and ask, what frequency will I carry today? And tonight, before you drift into sleep, take a breath and remember you can always choose again. With gratitude, with imagination, with love, you are weaving new threads into the fabric of your life. And in that weaving, the quantum field listens. It listens not just to your words, but to your state of being. And when your mornings and evenings begin to hum with coherence, the rest of your life cannot help but echo the song. 7. The heart, the most powerful manifestation organ. There is a truth we often overlook in our modern world. Where the mind is worshipped and logic is praised above all else, the heart is not simply a muscle pumping blood. It is a field of intelligence all its own, one that speaks a language the mind cannot. Science has discovered that the heart generates an electromagnetic field thousands of times stronger than the brain's. It radiates outward in every direction, extending beyond your body, touching and mingling with the energies around you. Think about that for a moment. With every beat of your heart, you are sending out a signal. You are broadcasting not only blood and oxygen, but information, your inner state, your vibration, your coherence. And the universe, in its faithful responsiveness, listens. It doesn't just hear your words, or even your thoughts. It hears the song of your heart. When the heart and the mind are at odds, the signal becomes scattered. Imagine trying to listen to a radio station while two different songs play at once. The result is noise, confusion, distortion. This is how many of us live our thoughts. Declare one thing, but our hearts contract with doubt or fear. We say, I am abundant, but the heart whispers, I am still lacking. We say, I am loved, but the heart trembles with old wounds of abandonment. And so the field reflects not our words, but our coherence or the lack of it. But when the heart and mind align, when your thoughts and emotions dance in harmony, the signal becomes powerful, unified, clear. It is like striking a tuning fork and hearing the whole room vibrate with the same pure note. That is the state researchers call coherence, and mystics across time have called union, harmony, alignment. In that state, you do not have to push life to respond. Life cannot help but echo back the vibration you are sending. I remember a time when my own life felt divided, my mind trying to convince me of one thing, my heart quietly aching for another. I told myself to think positively, to act as though I was fine. But beneath the surface, my heart carried grief, disappointment, and longing. And no matter how many affirmations I spoke, nothing shifted. It wasn't until I allowed myself to truly feel, to place my hand on my chest and listen, that things began to change. There is something profoundly healing about listening to your own heartbeat, not just as a rhythm of survival, but as a voice that asks for honesty, tenderness, and presence. When I finally honored my heart instead of silencing it, I felt a deep peace rise that no thought could manufacture. And from that peace, opportunities, connections, and synchronicities flowed in ways that felt effortless, almost magical. You see, the heart doesn't just influence your personal world. Because its field extends outward, it connects with the Earth's field, the solar system's field, the galaxy's field. You are not isolated. You are part of an immense web, and your heart is the bridge. When you align your heart with trust, compassion, and gratitude, you are not simply changing your own frequency, you are rippling into the greater field of existence. This is why love is the most powerful force in the universe. Not romantic love alone, but the deeper state of open-heartedness, of recognizing yourself in others, of resting in the truth that you and life are not enemies, but partners. In that state, your heart field broadcasts unity, and the universe rearranges itself to mirror that truth back to you. So if you find yourself struggling to manifest what you desire, pause and check, what is my heart saying? Not my lips, not my mind, but my heart. Is it constricted with fear? Is it heavy with old stories? Or is it soft, open, willing to trust again? The answer will tell you everything about the signal you are sending. This is why practices like breathing into the chest, expressing gratitude, or even placing your hand over your heart can be so transformative. They are not symbolic gestures. They are ways of harmonizing the most powerful transmitter you have. And when the heart is in coherence with the mind, your whole being hums with clarity, In the end, manifestation is not about forcing reality to bend to your will. It is about aligning your inner instruments so the song you broadcast is one the universe can clearly hear. And of all those instruments, the heart is the conductor. It sets the tone, it holds the rhythm, it amplifies the signal until the field cannot help but respond. So today, take a moment to listen, not just to the chatter of your thoughts, but to the quiet wisdom of your heart. For in that steady beat lies the strongest voice you have, and the most faithful ally in bringing your life into harmony with the universe. 8. The power of community. No matter how strong we believe we are, no matter how disciplined or independent, we are never separate from the energies around us. We are tuning forks, each of us, vibrating constantly. And like tuning forks, when we come close to one another, we begin to resonate. Our nervous systems, our emotions, even our breathing patterns shift to match the company we keep. This is why community is not just important, it is essential. You and I can try to hold a frequency of peace or abundance on our own. But if we are surrounded by fear, bitterness, or constant negativity, it becomes much harder, not because we are weak, but because we are human. We are designed to co-regulate, to harmonize with the energy of those near us. Think of it like air. You would never choose to live in a place where the air was thick with toxins if you had another option. You know that no matter how strong your lungs are, if the environment is polluted, eventually, you will struggle to breathe. The same is true for the energetic air we breathe. The people, the conversations, the environments around you are all shaping your inner atmosphere. I remember a time when I was determined to change my life, but I was surrounded by voices that doubted and dismissed anything outside the ordinary. Every time I shared a dream, I was met with a smirk or a warning to be realistic. It didn't matter how many hours I spent reading or meditating in the presence of those vibrations. My own signal wavered. I doubted myself more. I felt smaller. And it wasn't because their opinions were true. It was because I was breathing in their energetic air. It was only when I began to seek out people who were living with more openness, more trust, more harmony, that I noticed the shift in their presence. I didn't have to explain or defend myself. I felt lighter, freer. Their faith in life strengthened my own. Their gratitude stirred mine. Without trying, I began to rise to their level. Just as a tuning fork naturally vibrates in harmony with another of the same frequency, this is the quiet but profound truth: you do not rise alone. You rise with, and because of, those around you. Community can be a mirror that reflects your fears back to you, or it can be a mirror that reminds you of your strength. Choose carefully. And let me be clear, choosing community does not mean seeking perfection in others. We are all works in progress. It means choosing people and spaces where authenticity is valued more than appearance, where growth is encouraged more than judgment, where love is practiced more than preached. Those are the environments where your frequency stabilizes, where your signal becomes stronger, where you remember who you are. If you cannot yet find such a community in person, begin with the voices you allow into your heart each day. The books you read, the teachers you listen to, the conversations you linger in. These too are your community. They shape you as surely as the people sitting beside you. In this age, you have the power to curate your environment more than ever before. Use it wisely, because just as one sick tree can weaken a forest, one thriving tree can also strengthen it. Your coherence matters to those around you. When you choose to align your heart and mind, when you choose gratitude, when you choose love, you become an anchor for others. Your field touches theirs. Your calm steadies their storm. And in that exchange, both of you are lifted. So ask yourself, who do I allow to breathe into my atmosphere? Do they help me expand? Or do they cause me to contract? And equally, what kind of air am I offering others? Am I polluting the field with doubt and cynicism? Or am I offering the clean breath of trust and kindness? Community is like the air we breathe unseen, but shaping everything. Choose it as carefully as you would choose the air that fills your lungs. And remember, as you rise, you give permission for others to rise too. That is the true power of community, not only that it sustains us, but that it multiplies us, weaving our frequencies into a chorus far stronger than any one voice alone. 9. Simplicity, the forgotten path. If there is one reason so many people struggle with manifestation, it is not because the principles are too complex, but because they are too simple. The mind resists simplicity. It wants formulas, steps, rituals, something to control. It wants to feel clever, to believe that if it masters the right technique, then surely the universe will have no choice but to comply. But life does not work that way. The quantum field is not a machine waiting for commands. It is a living presence that responds not to complication, but to coherence, not to pressure, but to trust. This is the paradox. People overlook the very thing that could change their lives because it feels almost too easy. To relax, to breathe, to trust, to allow. The mind whispers, that can't be enough. It has to be harder. And so we complicate it, layering one ritual over another, one affirmation after the next, hoping that quantity will make up for what we secretly lack. Faith. I have been there myself. I once believed that if I could just perfect the method, say the words at the right time, hold the right posture, visualize with the right detail, then I would unlock the secret thing. But the harder I tried, the further the goal seemed to drift. My body was tight, my heart restless, and the universe reflected that restlessness back to me in delay after delay. It wasn't until I let go, until I surrendered the idea that I had to get it right, that I began to notice life moving toward me in ways I hadn't expected. Simplicity feels threatening to the ego because it cannot claim credit for it. The ego thrives on effort, on proving itself, on making things complicated enough to seem valuable. To simply sit and trust, to allow yourself to soften, feels like surrender. And in a way, it is, but it is not the kind of surrender that makes you powerless. It is the kind that finally reveals the power you already had but were too busy striving to notice. Think of a garden. Seeds grow not because the gardener pulls at them each morning, but because they are placed in the soil, watered gently, and then left to unfold in their own rhythm. No gardener can force a seed to sprout faster. The most skillful gardeners know the balance they tend with care, but they also trust the unseen intelligence already within the seed. Your desires work in the same way. You plant them with intention. You nurture them with attention. But then you must allow them to take root in the unseen before they can appear in the seen. And that allowing requires simplicity. It asks you to stop clutching, stop demanding, stop rehearsing the outcome 1,000 times in your mind. It asks you to come back to the present moment and breathe. It asks you to believe that the field has heard you the first time, and that your role now is not to repeat the request endlessly, but to become a match to the outcome through trust. Simplicity does not mean passivity. It does not mean you sit on the couch and do nothing. It means you move through life without the frantic energy of desperation. You take steps from a place of peace, not panic. You speak from a place of wholeness, not lack. And because your energy is clear, your actions have greater impact. A single step taken in trust carries more power than 100 steps taken in fear. Perhaps the greatest challenge of all is learning to be comfortable with that simplicity, to rest in the quiet space where nothing seems to be happening, and yet everything is aligning beneath the surface. It takes courage to wait without grasping, to breathe without demanding, to trust without guarantees. But that courage is exactly what shifts your vibration into harmony with the life you long for. So if you find yourself overwhelmed, exhausted by all the techniques and teachings, I invite you to return to the forgotten path, Sit quietly. Place a hand on your heart. Breathe slowly. Trust that what you have asked for is already present in the field. Let go of the need to figure it all out. And in that simplicity, you will discover the truth. Manifestation was never about doing more. It was about being still enough to realize that the door was never locked. 10. The body as a quantum compass. One of the most overlooked truths about manifestation is that your body often knows before your mind does, long before your thoughts have had time to analyze, to argue, to explain. Your body has already felt the vibration of a situation. It is as though your body is a compass, quietly pointing you toward alignment or warning you when you've drifted away. Think back to moments in your life when something just felt right. Perhaps you walked into a room and immediately felt lighter, more open, more alive. Or maybe you met someone and, even before words were exchanged, something in you relaxed, expanded, as if you were breathing easier. Those moments weren't coincidences. They were your body recognizing a frequency that matched your own. Expansion is the signal. This is the way forward. And then there are the other moments, the ones where you feel yourself contract. Maybe an opportunity is presented, and on the surface it looks perfect. But inside, your chest tightens, your stomach knots, your breath becomes shallow, or perhaps you're around someone who says all the right things. Yet you leave the conversation feeling drained and smaller. That contraction is also a signal this is not your path, at least not right now. Your body does not lie. It doesn't calculate or rationalize. It feels, and in the quantum field, feeling is information. Every sensation, whether expansive or restrictive, is your inner compass pointing you toward or away from the timeline that resonates with your highest state. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, I ignored my body's signals. I let my mind talk me into jobs, relationships, and choices that looked good on paper, but felt heavy in my chest. Each time, I convinced myself to push through the unease, telling myself it was just fear or weakness. But in truth, my body was speaking clearly. This is not aligned. And every time I ignored it, I found myself deeper in struggle. It wasn't until I began to trust those subtle signals, choosing the path that made me feel lighter, even if it made no logical sense, that my life began to flow with greater ease. What my mind could not see, my body already knew. This is why practices that reconnect you with your body are so powerful. Simple things: breathing deeply, placing your hand on your heart, noticing the sensations in your belly or shoulders. These moments of awareness help you tune back into the compass that is always guiding you. And the more you listen, the clearer it becomes. The beauty of this compass is that it works in real time. You don't have to wait for months or years to see if you made the right choice. Your body tells you instantly. Expansion, vitality, ease. These are signs you're aligned with the timeline you desire. Contraction, fatigue, heaviness. These are signs you're veering away from it. Neither is punishment. Both are guidance. It's like walking a forest path with the sun breaking through the trees. At certain points, the light falls fully on you, warming your face, filling you with energy. At other points, you stumble into shadow, and the chill reminds you that you've strayed off course. The light isn't gone, it's just waiting for you to return to the open path. And here is the simplest but most profound shift. Instead of trying to think your way into the right timeline, begin to feel your way into it. Ask yourself, does this make me expand or contract? Do I feel more alive or more depleted? Let those answers guide your next step. Over time, you'll find that your body is not just a passive vessel carrying you through life. It is your most faithful ally, reading the field around you, translating it into sensations you can trust. When your mind is confused, when the path seems unclear, your body remains steady, whispering, "Here is your true north." So today, I invite you to notice. Notice what makes your chest rise with ease. Notice what makes your shoulders drop in relief. Notice what brings a spark to your eyes. Even in small ways, these are not trivial feelings. They are the compass of your soul, pointing you toward the life you were always meant to live. 11. Small joys, big frequencies. We often imagine that to shift our lives, we need something grand. A miracle, a breakthrough, a sudden change so dramatic that it leaves no room for doubt. But the truth I've learned, after walking through both light and shadow, is that transformation rarely comes from the thunderclap. More often, it begins in the smallest of things, the kind of things so ordinary that the mind dismisses them. Yet the heart recognizes them as sacred. Think of a simple smile. You catch the eyes of a stranger on the street, and for a brief second, you share humanity, no story, no history, no agenda, just a smile. That moment may seem tiny, almost forgettable, but in truth, it sends out a frequency ripple, both in you and in them. Your heart expands, their guard softens, and the field around you brightens. Or imagine the first sip of warm coffee in the quiet of the morning, not rushed, not distracted, but savored. In that pause, your whole body exhales. You are reminded, I am here. I am alive. I am part of something larger than my worries. That small act of presence elevates your vibration more effectively than hours of restless striving. Even watching a leaf drift from a tree can shift your frequency, the way it releases itself from the branch. Unhurried, unafraid, trusting the air to carry it, it mirrors the wisdom we so often forget. Life doesn't demand we hold on so tightly. Sometimes the highest frequency is found in letting go, in allowing the natural rhythm of things to unfold. These small joys are not accidental. They are doorways always near, always accessible, that reconnect us with the vast harmony of the universe. You don't need to wait for life to hand you a dramatic sign. The universe whispers constantly, through the gentle, ordinary gifts. It scatters across your day. I remember times when I was lost in heaviness, convinced that nothing could lift me. And yet, when I slowed down enough to notice the warmth of sunlight on my face, the laughter of a child in the distance, the way a song stirred something familiar in my chest, I realized the shift was already happening. The heaviness began to loosen, not because the world outside had changed, but because I had tuned myself to a higher note. This is the beauty of small joys. They bypass the mind's endless search for reasons and logic. They speak directly to the body, directly to the heart. A single moment of genuine joy has the power to recalibrate your frequency, aligning you with a timeline of greater ease and flow. It's easy to overlook them, though the modern mind is trained to chase the extraordinary, to believe that only the big events matter. But in my experience, it is the stringing together of small joys, one smile, one breath, one kind gesture, that creates the most powerful resonance. Like beads on a necklace, each small moment adds up to something luminous and unbreakable. Try this at the end of your day. Recall just 3 small joys you experienced. They don't need to be dramatic. Perhaps it was the softness of your pillow, the taste of ripe fruit, or the way your body relaxed in a warm shower. Write them down, hold them in your awareness, and notice how your energy shifts. Gratitude magnifies the frequency of joy, and what begins as a flicker becomes a steady flame. And here's the quiet miracle: when you consistently tune yourself to the frequency of small joys, life responds, opportunities open, people are drawn to you, synchronicities unfold, not because you forced them, but because your field is resonating with harmony, and harmony attracts more of itself. So don't underestimate the power of the simple, the ordinary. A smile, a sip, a leaf falling. These are not trivial. They are the closest doors to the universe, doors you can open at any time. The grand shifts will come. Yes, but they are built on these small foundations. Each joy is a note, and together they compose the song of your life. Play it gently, play it often, and watch how the world begins to dance to your music. 12. Trusting the rhythm of the universe. There is a quiet wisdom in the way life unfolds. Though often, we only recognize it in hindsight. When a door closes, the human mind rushes to label it as failure, rejection, or even punishment. But after walking through enough seasons of loss and renewal, I have come to see those closed doors differently. They are not the universe turning against us. They are the universe redirecting us, adjusting the rhythm of our lives, so we can find what truly belongs to us. Think of music. A symphony is not made of constant sound. It is shaped by pauses, silences, and the deliberate placing of each note. Without the rests, the music would be noise. In the same way, the delays, the setbacks, the apparent failures are not disruptions in your song. They are the rests that allow the melody of your life to breathe, to build, and to eventually resolve in harmony. When you trust this rhythm, you no longer need to fight every no or cling desperately to what slips away. You begin to understand that a no is often the space being cleared for a better yes. What looks like a detour may in fact be the only path that leads you where you were always meant to go. I remember a time in my own life when I thought I had lost everything, opportunities I was sure were mine, relationships I believed would last. In the moment, it felt cruel, almost unbearable. But looking back now, I see that every closed door was a form of protection. The rhythm of the universe was guiding me toward places I could not have chosen for myself, because my vision was too narrow, my timing too urgent. The quantum field is always arranging, always weaving threads we cannot see. To the mind, this weaving often looks chaotic, doors slamming, plans collapsing, timing failing us. But from a higher vantage, the pattern is intricate and precise. Each delay is a brushstroke in a painting we are too close to understand. To live with peace in the midst of uncertainty is to trust that rhythm. It means learning to rest in the silence without demanding constant music. It means leaning into patience when the mind screams for answers. And it means opening your heart to the possibility that what feels like loss today is actually the foundation for joy tomorrow. Notice how the seasons never hurry. Winter does not apologize for being barren. Spring does not rush its blossoms. Summer does not cling to its warmth. Autumn does not mourn its falling leaves. Each season trusts the rhythm of the earth. And because of that trust, the cycle continues with beauty and precision. If nature itself honors rhythm, why would the rhythm of your life be any less reliable? When you begin to live in this trust, something extraordinary happens inside you. The anxiety of always needing to know fades. The bitterness of rejection softens. The sting of failure loses its edge. Instead, a deep calm arises, a peace that doesn't come from controlling life, but from flowing with it. And in that peace, opportunities you never imagined begin to appear. The right people cross your path, the right timing unfolds. What once felt impossible suddenly feels inevitable. It is not magic, it is resonance. The heart that trusts the rhythm of the universe beats in harmony with it. That harmony attracts what belongs to you more surely than all the forcing, striving, and grasping ever could. So the next time a door closes, pause before you curse the silence. Breathe. Remember that you are part of a symphony far larger than this one moment. Trust that the rhythm has not abandoned you. It is simply preparing you for the next movement in the song of your life. And perhaps, in time, you will look back and smile at how perfectly it all came together. Not because you controlled it, but because you trusted it. Becoming the vibration you seek. Manifestation is not a show. It is not a trick to impress others, or a performance designed to prove your worth. It is life itself. Life lived as though you already stand within the reality you long for. Moment, whether you notice or not, you are sending out a signal, and the quantum field does not judge those signals. It does not weigh them against morality or effort. It simply reflects them back, faithfully, like the most honest mirror you will ever face. This is why pretending or forcing never works. You cannot demand the universe to deliver abundance while vibrating scarcity. You cannot shout affirmations of love while quietly harboring self-contempt. The field will always echo what you are, not what you say. And so the real work of manifestation is not in controlling the world outside, but in gently reshaping the world within. Let your heart be the conductor. Let it set the rhythm of your days. When the heart is aligned, even ordinary actions hum with resonance. Washing the dishes becomes a meditation. Walking down the street becomes a conversation with life itself. Your heart will remind you that it is not the grand gestures, but the quiet alignment that changes the trajectory of your existence. Let your emotions be the language. They are not nuisances to suppress, but signals to listen to. Joy, peace, gratitude. These are not random feelings, but the natural tones of harmony with life. Fear, anger, despair. These are not punishments, but reminders that you have drifted away from your song. To manifest is not to avoid these emotions, but to understand them, to let them guide you back to your center, again and again, and let your body be the compass. It will always tell you before your mind catches up. Notice the subtle expansions, the way your breath feels fuller, your shoulders lighter, your steps steadier when you are aligned with the right path. And notice too the constriction, the tightening in the chest, the draining of energy, the restless unease when you stray from it. Your body never lies. It whispers the truth of your vibration long before your mind can rationalize it. The greatest misunderstanding about manifestation is the belief that you manifest what you want, but the truth is simpler, quieter, and more demanding. You manifest what you are. If you are rooted in lack, you will find lack mirrored back to you. If you are rooted in trust, you will find life opening to meet you in unexpected ways. The universe is impartial. It does not need convincing. It simply responds. So the invitation is, this become the vibration you seek. If you desire peace, practice embodying peace in the smallest moments. If you desire abundance, practice gratitude for the simplest forms of plenty. The meal before you, the breath that sustains you, the presence of someone who cares. If you desire love, to become love, not by striving to earn it, but by allowing yourself to radiate it in small, unremarkable acts of kindness. Over time, you will notice that the world no longer feels like an opponent to battle. It becomes a partner, a mirror, a song that rises to meet the tune you are already playing within. There will still be seasons of silence, pauses, and what looks like failure, but instead of resisting them, you will recognize them as part of the rhythm, a rhythm that never meant to harm you, only to guide you deeper into alignment. Manifestation is not about bending the universe to your will. It is about softening enough to let the universe reveal that it was always on your side. It is about realizing that you don't need to convince reality to give you what you desire. You only need to live as though it is already so. When you embody the vibration, the world adjusts without protest, like water finding its level, like a mirror, returning your reflection. Life responds to the frequency you carry. So breathe deeply, trust your rhythm, and remember, the miracle is not in forcing the world to change. It is in becoming the kind of person for whom the world has no choice but to reflect beauty back.